Good Sunday afternoon, people. How are we all on this hopefully sunny afternoon? Hope all the dads out there are having a super duper Father's Day. We went out this afternoon for Father's Day to have a little treat, and I heard this afternoon probably one of the most ridiculous statements as a parent I think I've ever heard, rating probably a 9 out of 10 on the awkwardness scale. The t-shirt sums up me around 2:30 this afternoon. All to do with the fact that my kids wanted an ice cream. So I'm back with another instalment of Is It Just Me? And I'm going to tell you what happened. So like I said, it's Father's Day, it's a nice day. We decided this afternoon, we'd have a nice afternoon, we'd go to a little village a few miles up the road from where we live. We were going to feed the ducks, the kids were going to go to the park, we were going to have a little walk, and then we were going to go for an afternoon tea or something like that. All sounds bloody lovely. And it was bloody lovely. We set off. The traffic wasn't too bad, so Rob didn't start moaning too much. We got parked. The kids fed the ducks. We had a little walk. The kids went to the park. All was good. Until it was time to go for a little light refreshment. So we walked along, and there's a cafe and an ice cream kiosk, right? For the purpose of this story, I'm going to call them the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard cafe and the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard ice cream shop. Same name above both doors. Bang smack next to each other, the same. So we gets there, and the cafe's got a thing saying freshly baked scones, freshly baked cakes, pots of tea, coffee, da 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 da. I'm sweating cobs. I want to sit down. I'm just like, I'm in need of a cup of tea and a big slice of cake, right? Don't really fancy an ice cream. I'm not really an ice creamy sort of person, but as soon as the kids see the ice cream kiosk thing next door, they want an ice cream. So I stood and I was like, because it's the same thing, you can maybe get the ice creams in the cafe. I was like, so we'll go into the cafe. So we goes into the cafe, and this young girl comes over to us, and she's like, "Hi, can I help you? Do you want a seat?" I was like, "Yes, it's a seat like for 4." I said, "But can I just check?" I said, "Can we get a couple of the ice creams from next door?" I said, "Either we can order them through you, or we can go and get them, and you will bring them round." I said, "Because the kids want an ice cream, but we want a pot of tea and a cake." And she was like, "Oh, I don't know. I'll have to ask about that." So off she goes, and she comes back with this other woman, and she's like, "Did you want ice creams?" So I explained the situation again, and she was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, we can't do that." So I said, "You can't do what?" "Get the ice creams from next door. Unfortunately, wait for it, it's a cafe. Unfortunately, ice cream is not permitted on these premises." "Sorry, what?" So I said, "Well, if you can't get the ice creams from next door," I said, "we could always go and get the kids an ice cream from next door." I said, "But obviously they're going to have to sit with us because we can't leave them outside because there's laws against that. Are they okay just to come and sit with us while we have our pot of tea and cake or scones?" Which, let's face it, was going to be a remortgage job, because it always is now, every single time you go out. So they were going to get their pound of flesh. So she was like, "No, you can't do that because ice cream's not permitted on the premises." So I was like, "So let me get this right." I said, what you're saying is the children, 2 young children, cannot eat ice cream in this cafe. "Yeah, that's right." And I'm like, "But if we go get the kids an ice cream, we're going to have to stand outside until they eat the ice cream before we can come in to have a pot of tea and sit down, which just seems absolutely ludicrous because we're going to be stood outside your door. Or if we come in for a pot of tea and some cake and a scone now, we're going to have to rush it down because the kids are constantly going to be pestering for an ice cream next door. And I was like, so you're telling me they can't eat ice cream here? She was like, no, they can't. Right, cut, nose, face, spite, okay? So I turned around to her and I said, do you know what? I said, that has got to be one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my entire life. I said, so what we're going to do, I says, is we're going to go, I'm going to take our money somewhere else. And she just stood there looking at me. Seriously, is it just me? Like, would it have mattered if I would have said to her, excuse me, Flower, me and my other half and the kids are going to pop down to the chippy down the road and get a battered sausage and chips each. Because they've got no seats, what we were wondering, would it be all right to pop into your cafe and sit our asses on one of your seats while we eat them? Free as gratias. I would have expected her to say, that's not permitted, do one. I completely get that, okay? But the village is full, and I mean full, of families, of mums, dads, kids, grandparents, kids, walking around. The place is absolutely heaving. And I'm like, surely you've come across this before. Like, surely you can slightly bend your no ice cream permitted rule on probably what is one of the busiest days of the year, just to give parents, dads, I mean, it's Father's Day for goodness sake, just to give us a little bit of slack. Come on. So that's been my afternoon. But as I'm all about turning negatives into positives, that was rather negative, granted. However, we went down the road to another ice cream shop and Rob was like, are you having an ice cream? And I was like, well, because I was still in a bit of a mood. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to have to do now, aren't I? Because obviously the tea and cake's gone like for a burn. So I looked on the board and they had Biscoff sundaes. I said, yeah, I'll have one of those. Honestly, without question, and this is a big statement from me because I like my food, as you can probably tell, it has to be one of the best ice creams I think I've ever had in my entire life. So, the moral of the story is, it was all good in the end. The kids were happy because they got an ice cream. I ended up back with a little smile on my face because I got a big Biscoff sundae, not only with Biscoff and Biscoff sauce on the top, with Biscoff biscuits shoved in it, but also appropriate regular layering of said Biscoff and Biscoff sauce down the sundae. So, we've all had a very nice day. We're back home now. Wishing everybody else a super rest of your weekend. Now I've had my chimp and my moan, I'm going to go off and get the oven on because now it's going to be tea time. But I'm going to be back, I'm sure, with another instalment of Is It Just Me very, very soon. Signing off, people, and I'll see you on the other side.